Okay, let's take a quick refresher in fractions, decimals, and percents. Excuse me. First, we need to be on board with, are we calling the parts of a fraction the same thing? So that top number up here is called your numerator, which I know this is review for you. And that bottom number is called the denominator. I always think of demons on bottom. I don't know why. It's silly. Okay. And all numbers that can be written as fractions are called rational numbers. I know we've talked about integers and rational numbers. Pretty soon we're going to be doing the real number system, and it's real important to know what that rational number is. So rational number is anything that can fit the form A over B, which just means a fraction. Okay, what does simplest form means? A simplest form means a fraction that cannot be simplified any further. So this is all review. I know it is for you guys. So I'm just going to go through one through, let's just go, excuse me, let's do these two columns. So 8 over 20, I know that 4 goes into both of these guys. 4 goes into 8 2 times, and 4 goes into 20 5 times. And 2/5 would be my final answer. Sometimes you can reduce twice. Let's say I didn't know that 4 went into there, but I do know that it's even, so half goes into there. So I could do half of 8 is 4, and half of 20 is 10, but then I have to ask myself, can I simplify it any further? And in this case, of course, you can. Half of 4 is 2, half of 10 is 5, and we're still going to get the same equivalent answers. All right, take a look at number 4. I know that 8 goes in there, and I know that 8 goes into 24 3 times, and 8 goes into 40 5 times. Now, keep in mind, this is a negative fraction, so my answer also has to be a negative fraction. It just means it would be on the negative side of the number line, to the left of 0 on the number line. If I look at number 7, I know off the top of my head that 8 goes into both of those, but let's say that I don't. Let's say I know that 2 goes into both of them. So I'm going to put an 8 here, and 2 would go into 56 28 times, and then I can just keep reducing. I know that 2 goes into 8 4 times, 2 goes into 28 14 times, and I know 2 goes into 4 twice, and 2 goes into 14 7 times. So it doesn't matter if you don't catch 8 right off the bat, as long as you take it to the lowest form that you can, the most simplified version. All right, number 2. I know that 6 goes into there, 6 goes into 6 1 time, 6 goes into 18 3 times, and of course my rational number is still negative, okay? It's still to the left of 0. Here, I know that 6 goes into them, so 6 goes into 12 twice, 6 goes into 42 7 times, and I know that it is still negative. It's still on the left-hand side of that 0. And then 3 goes, this is an improper fraction, so I know that I can reduce it. What goes into both 3 and 18? 6 does. So 3 goes in there. So 3 goes into 3 1 time, 3 goes into 6, 3 goes into 18 6 times, and then of course 6 over 1 can be rewritten as a whole number, which is 6. Okay, so improper form is what we just did in number 8. So an improper form means a fraction in which the numerator is larger than the denominator. And what is a mixed number? All that means it's a number and a proper fraction. A number, a whole number, and a proper fraction, meaning it's not an improper fraction, right? Where your numerator is smaller than your denominator. So I love simplifying these improper fractions because it gives us a look ahead into short division, which we'll talk about later. So on number 10, I know that I have, this is improper because 19's on top. So here's what I ask myself. How many whole times does 6 go into 19? It goes in there 3 whole times, and I put the leftovers on top. So 6 goes into 19 3 whole times with 1 leftover, and my denominator doesn't change. Number 11. Now, it's negative here. That just means it's a negative, and it goes to the left-hand side of the number line. So my answer is still going to be negative. So because this one's negative, that one's going to be negative. So 3 goes into 26 8 whole times. With 2 left over, my denominator doesn't change. Number 12. 2 goes into 17 8 whole times. With 1 left over, my denominator doesn't change. 4 goes into 21 5 whole times. With 1 left over, my denominator doesn't change. 3 goes into 7, 2 whole times with 1 left over. My denominator doesn't change. Now it's negative, so I know, of course, my mixed number is also going to be negative. 8 goes into 35, 4 whole times with 3 left over, and my denominator doesn't change. When you write a mixed number as an improper fraction, this is where we popcorn it. So popcorn just means you take your denominator, multiply by your whole number, and add 1. So 5 times 3 plus 1 is 16 over 5. And I just call it popcorn because it looks like a popcorn kernel. 3 times 7 plus 2. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 2 is 23 over 3. Now, students get confused here because they say, well, I'm doing a positive times a negative times a positive. Is my sign going to change? No, it's a negative mixed number. It's going to be a negative improper fraction. It's equivalency. So you can really just, if that's negative, bring your negative over here. 10 times 1 plus 9. 10 times 1 is 10 plus 9 is 19, and my denominator doesn't change. Now, again, it's negative over here, so keep your negative. 13 times 2 is 26, plus 11 is 37. My denominator doesn't change. It's negative here. It's going to be negative as an improper fraction. 2 times 4 is 28, plus 3 is 31 over 7. 8 times 10 is 80, plus 1 is 81 over 8. My denominator doesn't change. So here you can see all my popcorn kernels. So that's just a quick refresher in fractions.